Hello everyone, Tom Simmons here with another installment of our marketing course, and this lesson is going to be one of several lessons in a row that are going to deal with the idea of promotion. And before we look at the specific elements of promotion in a campaign, we need to understand the concept of integrated marketing communications. This is a fundamental concept that covers everything you need to do in your promotion. And by integrated marketing communications, what we're looking for is a message that is as brief as possible, but that conveys maximum persuasive power and maximum information to your target market. Now, I recently took on a position with a nonprofit called Senior Solutions here in Vermont. We are the Area Council on Aging for Southeast Vermont, and my specific position is to promote something we call the Three Squares Vermont program. And Three Squares Vermont is a government program that offers monetary benefits to seniors in order to improve their nutrition and give them more buying power at the supermarket. Now, you may know this program by another name, because 49 other states in the Union call this food stamps. But here in Vermont, we determined through market data that the term food stamps actually has a negative stigma attached to it with many people. And many of our seniors who would otherwise apply for this benefit don't. In fact, 60% do not. And part of it is due to that stigma that's attached to it. So we've renamed the program Three Squares Vermont. And the other week I was sending out a newsletter to several thousand people who might be eligible. And I put it all together and got ready to send it, had our organization's logo on it, had a phone number on it so they could call us. And I had someone else look it over, and they said, you know, when we talk about food and nutrition programs, we often use this other logo as well. It was an apple. I said, great, let's be consistent and put that Apple logo on. And someone else said, you know, we found that 14-point font works better than 12, especially with an aging community. Okay, so I changed the font in that newsletter. And someone else said, oh, I was just going to get something out to the same group of people about a cooking and nutrition webinar that we're putting on. I said, great, let's add it to our newsletter. And then we found out from the local farmers markets that many of them were accepting Three Squares Vermont's benefits, and they had a special promotion going on where you could get $3 buying power for every $1. So we said, that's important, let's put that in. The point here is that a very simple newsletter that was conveying some information went through multiple hands and got changed multiple times. And in the end, it was a better and stronger newsletter because it maximized our resources by putting all of this into one newsletter, and it would be better received by our target audience. So the idea of integrated marketing communications means that you need to be able to get out of your little box where you say, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm doing it and it's going to be great. Because by bringing a larger team together, you can create something that's greater than great and may have a better impact with those you're sending it to. Now, when you engage in a promotional campaign, or you're promoting a good, a service, an organization, a cause, a political candidate, doesn't matter what it is, if I were to ask a non-marketing student, why are you advertising or why are you promoting? The simple answer might be, well, to get people to buy our stuff. But as a marketing student, you will understand that the purpose of any promotional piece that goes out, any promotional effort, is actually much more detailed than that. In fact, you may have upwards of 8 different reasons, specific reasons, why you are putting out a promotional piece or holding a promotional event. So let's go through those 8 very briefly to give you an idea of what it is that is the purpose of our promotion. Because knowing the purpose is going to drive the content of that promotion. So for instance, the first reason you might have a promotional campaign is simply to create awareness. You are launching a new product. You're launching something that no one has. You're launching something that people are not familiar with, and you need to create awareness. You need to provide information about what this is all about. That might be very different or similar to the second purpose, which is to stimulate demand for that particular product. Now, when you're stimulating demand for a product, once again, we need to decide, are we stimulating demand for the product, or are we stimulating demand for our brand of the product? And either of those are valid approaches. The first approach is called a primary approach, meaning you're trying to stimulate demand for the product in general. To give you an example, at the end of the COVID pandemic, which I hope is in sight, there might be a primary campaign to stimulate demand for air travel once again. Go to Florida this year, see grandma this year, whatever it happens to be. That's general because it's getting people back into the idea of we should be going on planes. A selective campaign would be to say, yes, fly to Florida this year, now that quarantine is over, and fly Delta Airlines or fly Southwest Airlines. So it could be, in terms of stimulating demand, it could be for the general product category, or it could be for your specific brand of the product. A third purpose of a promotion might be to encourage the trial use of your product by those who perhaps use another product or who are on the fence about whether or not this product is for them. And you could do this through free samples, through coupons, through a money-back offer. Try our product, and if you don't like it, we'll take it back, no questions asked. It could be through a contest, either in a store or online. Something to get you to say, well, there's nothing to be lost by at least trying this product. That's a third purpose for a promotional campaign. A fourth purpose could really be to identify prospects. Should you choose to do a contest online or in a store, or use coupons, or send a mailing out saying, you've got a free offer, use promotional code 16432. The reason you're doing that is to gather feedback on who is responding. Those coupons are coded. That code you gave to the customer is giving the promoter information about who is responding. And perhaps you thought your target market was a certain demographic in a certain place, but based on the response, you're finding out that you're connecting very well with an additional target market. And so you're gathering information from your promotional campaign on specific potential customers, but also generally target markets you may not have considered. Or you're confirming that you're right on the money, that you had a target market in mind and they're the ones who are responding. A fifth promotional purpose would be to retain loyal customers. Maybe you have come to our gas station and for every 50 gallons you get 5 free or something like that. or you have a frequent mileage or frequent traveler's reward, such as Amtrak or many airplane companies do. You want to keep your customers thinking about you, because if you remember in a previous video, we talked about during the decision-making process, when people are thinking to themselves, I need to buy a product to solve some need that I have, the first research they do is internal. What do I already know? Who am I already familiar with? Well, it certainly helps to retain those customers if your name is before them on a regular basis, so that when they do that internal search, you come to mind. A sixth purpose of a promotional campaign could be for reseller support. And here's what I mean by that. Retailers generally love it when you, as a producer or marketer of a product, can give them promotional excitement in their store, can do something that supports them in their effort to sell your product. So a number of years ago, when I ran a chain of bookstores, we had a publisher who provided promotional money for us as long as we used it in the bookstore to do some promotion that would feature their products. And so we took the money they gave us, and one of the things we did in order to promote a particular Chinese cookbook, we set up a mini kitchen, a cook station, and we had a professional chef come in, and in the middle of the bookstore was cooking Chinese food based on recipes in a particular cookbook. I can tell you this cookbook was nothing special. It was nothing new. In fact, it was old stock at that point, and they flew out of the store. So from the producer side, you can help regain interest in a product, and you can get the end seller, the store, to work with you to do that by providing these type of promotional events. You may do it to combat, this is number 7, you may do it to combat your competitors. Your competitors have put out a great series of ads or have done a great promotion campaign, and you're feeling it. So you may want to combat that with an ad campaign of your own to remind consumers that you're still around. In some respects, we looked earlier in this semester at the Dollar Beard Club. What we didn't talk about was the fact that the Dollar Shave Club came out first and did quite well and was convincing men that they could easily and inexpensively, with high quality razors, stay well groomed. The Dollar Beard Club, which became the Beard Club, piggybacked on that and countered that by saying, you don't have to shave it off. We've got something to help you keep it there. So you may be combating or piggybacking off someone else's promotional campaign. And finally, you may engage in a promotional campaign in order to avoid seasonal fluctuations in the product sales. Many product sales have a peak. Maybe it's the Thanksgiving to Christmas season. Maybe it's a summer season product. Maybe it's a summer season product for suntan oil, and you sell tons of it. But then in the winter, you're not selling that many. You may engage in a promotional campaign to suggest that people take this with them on their winter breaks going down south. Or you may do a special promotional campaign to suggest that a particular brand of sunblock that's normally purchased in the summer is equally good against wind and sun reflection off the snow if you're skiing or something like that. So that helps to even out sales throughout the year. It keeps your production department producing the product at a regular rate instead of having these wild swings in needing more employees and then laying them off and then rehiring them again. So there's many reasons why you might engage in a promotional campaign. The important thing is to know, why are you doing it? Because it's not just, as we said earlier, well, to get people to buy our stuff. You should have a specific purpose in mind. And having that purpose and knowing that purpose is going to help you drive the content of what you put into that promotion. Now, having said all of that, once you decide the message you want to convey, we now have to work with the communication process, which isn't as easy as you think. In the communication process, it would seem simple at first. You have a marketing agent or a company which we're going to call the source. The source is the one sending out the message. And then you have the audience, which we're going to call the receiver, and they receive the message. So just like I am producing a video for you to see, I am the source, you are the receiver. Shouldn't be a problem, right? Well, it is. At the end of the year, when students do my evaluations, I'm very careful to read through them all because that's providing me feedback. Very often, students will write something like, my videos were clear, it made sense, it was in understandable terms. And I'll get another student in the same exact class, hearing the same exact videos, who will write, this guy made no sense whatsoever, I didn't get it. Two people in the same class watching the same thing, hearing the same message, and there's two different responses. And this is a problem that marketing professionals have to deal with on a regular basis. And that's this communication process. When engaged in a communication process, the marketer, the sender of the information, wants to convey as much information as briefly as possible. Because frankly, people don't have long attention spans. And so what we do is we do something called coding or encoding, which means we use words, phrases, and symbols that convey a whole sense of meaning, we hope, to the receiver without having to use a lot of words. So when you see an ad and there's an American flag on it, or an American flag with a blue stripe through the middle, that will convey a message to you. A rainbow flag, a recycled triangle, all of these things will convey a message to you. When a company says we honor diversity, they're using a very short buzz phrase in order to convey a message to you that is greater than just those 2 or 3 words. And this process of coding is an important part of promotions because we simply don't have your ear for an hour. We've got to get that message through quickly. Now, we may say something or use a symbol or a logo or a catchphrase and mean to convey one thing, and the recipient may take it entirely differently. And this may be because A, the recipient or the receiver doesn't understand that buzz phrase or that symbol or that logo, or it could be that they understand it in a very, very different way. There's probably no more sensitive topic of discussion in our society right now than race relations. From the deaths of blacks in police instances, and you can see how carefully I'm trying to choose my words here. The Black Lives Matter movement, This is a real hot button issue right now in our society. And many studies have been done where white people will say something such as, "I don't see color. I don't care what color you are." And in their minds, they are trying to convey a positive message that they're not going to discriminate against someone because of their race or their background. They see everyone the same. If you're a good worker, you're a good worker. It doesn't matter whether you're green or purple or yellow. It's meant in a positive way. However, those same studies show that to many black people, that's a negative message. Because while the white person might mean it in a positive way, the black person hears, "You don't see me. You don't understand my experience, my life experience, and what I have lived through and what I bring to the table." It is a classic example of the source sending a message and the receiver receiving it in a very different way than the source perhaps intended it. And this actually is rampant through almost all of our discussions about race relations. So if you can see what a hot button topic that is in the political arena, you can see how that translates into the marketing and business arena as well. Because the marketer puts something out believing they are providing a positive message, and the receiver sees it and says, "Ugh, that product's not for me." So this becomes a very delicate and difficult process. Once again, the focus group is your friend. You can't invent these things in the four walls of an office, especially if it's not a very diverse office, and just assume you've come up with the best way to word something, because you need to put yourself in the shoes of the receiver of that message. Got to turn the page. All right, now, in pushing your campaign, in promoting your campaign, you're also going to have this overlying question of, are you looking at a pull campaign or a push campaign? And they're very different. A push campaign means that you, as the producer of the product, are, for want of a better word, pushing your product through retail channels, through distribution channels. You're trying to get a wholesaler or an intermediary to carry this good and then to push it on retail stores, who will then promote it to customers. That's a push effort. There's also a pull effort or a pull approach. In a pull approach, you go directly to the consumer. All of your promotional activities are directed towards getting the consumer to say, "Hey, this is a great product. I want this." So that they go to their store and say, "Hey, do you carry this? Could you special order it for me? Could you bring it into the store?" And in this aspect, it's your customer who is pulling the stores into the process of carrying your good. So having said all of that, we have different purposes for our promotional campaign. We have to decide whether it's push or pull. We have to make sure we've got the coding right, meaning the words we're using and the symbols we're using, and that our receivers are going to receive it in the way that it's intended. And hopefully it's the same as we meant it. Now we design our promotion. And in the next few weeks, I'm going to be speaking about each of these on an individual basis. So I'm just going to mention them here. There are four basic historical promotional methods. The first is advertising, print advertising, TV advertising, which reaches a vast number of people, but is also very expensive. The second is public relations, which is the good that you do within your community. The third is personal selling, which you probably see in house sales and car sales. It's very intense. It's very personal. You get feedback right away from your potential customer. And it's because of the expense involved and the fact that you're dealing with very small amounts of people at a time, it's usually only for high-ticket items. And then 4, the sales promotions. Kind of the fun stuff that goes on in retail stores, the games, the contests, and things like that. And we're going to look at each of these in turn over the next couple of weeks. However, there are two other elements to promotion that don't fit those 4 categories neatly, and maybe a generation from now, these will be added as number 5 and number 6. Number 5 is word of mouth. And of course, word of mouth has always existed. That's nothing new. What is new is that the internet and social media have exploded as a forum for promoting your good through having people like your product or share your product or recommend it to someone else on their feed. Obviously, this is something that has taken off only in the last generation, and it's now a mainstay of promotional campaigns. And the last one is product placement, which has happened for a long time and has a special niche all of its own. The next time you watch a movie, watch a TV show, take a look at the products they're using. If the product they're using, I don't care whether it's a jar of orange juice or a truck that someone is jumping into for a chase scene, look to see if that product's logo is visible and recognizable. In many, many instances, marketers will pay to have a movie franchise or movie or TV show place their product right in front of you so that once again you see, this group of people who I watch and who I like and who I enjoy, they use it too. It's very subtle, but it's an important part of the entire promotional mix. So that's an overview of integrated marketing communications and how important it is to get it right. And as I've said before, many times you'll make a remark to someone and you'll mean it one way and they'll get all annoyed. And you'll say, what? What did I say? And then you've got to backtrack and explain yourself. That happens on a regular basis, just in daily living. Advertisers don't have that luxury because they're not getting the feedback right away. And to undo a mistake or re-explain something they've already explained once is very, very difficult. So get it right the first time. Tom Simmons, see you next time.